Hello and welcome to part 2 of system cleanup using robot space. Today we're going to talk about file reorganization using the automation that's built into robot space. As a reminder, you should probably watch part 1 of this robot tip about system cleanup prior to watching this one. But regardless, we're talking about robot space, part of our performance monitoring category of products in our robot product line. And specifically, we're talking about what is known as a storage audit inside of the robot space product. As a reminder, storage audits can do system cleanup automatically. They can also identify where you might be able to do some additional cleanup, for instance, identifying duplicated libraries or directories. So as part of the storage audit can provide some reporting capabilities. You'll see that today. Not only can we reorganize files, but of course we can also delete old objects that are on your system. You tell us where to look and what your aging requirements are, and we'll do that cleanup automatically. Also, as a reminder, the audit itself runs using the SPC audit command, which lives in the robot space library. You can also submit a storage audit directly from the graphical interface simply by right-clicking on the storage audit, and there's a submit option. There's also a schedule option if you have robot schedule, and we'll schedule the audit or the cleanup process directly into robot schedule. So I think it's best to describe how the file reorganization capabilities work by doing a live demonstration. What you see in front of you is the robot space graphical interface. It's the only interface for robot space. There is no green screen interface. The problem statement here is you've got physical files in libraries. Those physical files have deleted records. In order to save space, one of the things you can do is you can reorganize the file using the reorganize physical file member command, and that removes the deleted records, and you retrieve that storage that was used by those deleted records. Of course, many applications reuse deleted records automatically, but there might have been, for instance, some mass deletion or purge that deleted thousands or millions of records from a file. And it would take a long time to reuse those deleted records through your application, so the best approach is to do a file reorg. Robot Space, as you know, does a point-in-time snapshot that will allow us to see which files have the most deleted records, so the greatest opportunity for cleanup. By default, we ship a detail storage collection, and this collects data down to the member level in your libraries. So let's take a look at my latest detail collection, and I'm going to look at the member level. And there's a couple of columns here, one for deleted records, one for records, one for size, and I can sort on any of these. And I do have this sorted by deleted records, all right? And so I can quickly identify those files that have the most deleted records. These files aren't particularly huge, but still there's opportunities for cleanup. So for instance, here in the MPG lib, we have a file here with 25 million deleted records. Okay, for experimentation purposes, I'm going to focus on this library called Chuck HA. I'm also going to focus on a library called RBTConlib, or Robot Console. All right, we have some not super large files out here, but still large enough that we can do some experimentation when it comes to reorganizing. Okay, so I've been able to identify where I want to focus my efforts. Now let's take a look at the actual storage audit. I have pre-created a couple of storage audits, one to run a reorganized physical file member, another one to do a reorganized physical file member while active. We'll discuss the idiosyncrasies of that, but let's first of all start with just the simple, straightforward physical file reorganization. So the audit itself, I've told it to only look at my robot console library. And I've told it to look at all the objects in that library. Now, one thing to keep in mind with this particular storage audit is we'll need to actually turn off our robot console application to free up those files, because if they are locked, we won't be able to run the reorganized physical file member over them. I've assigned the task, reorganize file data, and when I assign that task, I told it, first of all, don't take any corrective action initially. I simply want to look at a report that will tell me what this is going to do. Your criteria for running a reorganization over files in a library look like this. First of all, it's how much can I save in megs? What percentage of deleted records am I looking at? The minutes to reorganize is not really used anymore. We did a calculation to determine how long it would take. You can pretty much just ignore that field for now. Okay, so I've told it what I want to do. And so let's run this. I could schedule it to run on a regular basis, let's say every weekend, etc. The important thing to remember about running just a straight up reorganized physical file member is that we need to get a lock on the physical file. If the physical file is in use, we won't be able to run a reorg on top of that. The option for submitting immediately is right here. I can also schedule it right into Robot Schedule, or you could put the SPC audit command inside your native scheduler or wherever and run it from there. But we're just going to go ahead and submit this. In Robot Space Audits, we do track audit history. You can see we've run this a number of times, and here's the most recent one that I just submitted. It's complete. Let's look at the results. Here's the report I asked to be created. Okay, let's look at the results. And it says, sure enough, it's identified 4 files in my robot console library that it will reorganize. And you can see what the percentage deleted records looks like. Okay, pretty straightforward. And this replaces the need for somebody to manually run the reorganized physical file member or maybe write their own CL to go about reorganizing the physical files. All right, that's pretty straightforward. Let's talk about reorganize while active. So I've got a specific storage audit to do reorg while active. My storage audit is focused on my Chuck HA library, and that's because the files in my Chuck HA library are being journaled. And that is one of the requirements of reorg while active, that the files be journaled. Okay, let's take a look at the reorganize physical file member command. This is the command for reorganizing a file, removing deleted records, and to allow this command to be used while a file is active but being journaled, you would use this command *yes, or this parameter. So we use that when we run our reorganize while active command, but keep in mind that your file needs to be journaled. So I'm focused on my Chuck HA library. I have selected from the left-hand side my reorganize file data while active. My criteria in this case, I'm not taking any corrective action. I am printing the results of the audit task. I don't really care how much I save in terms of megs. I just want to look at those files that have 30% or greater deleted records. All right, let's go ahead and run this audit. Let's see what we get. All right, my audit is complete. Let's look at the spool file. All right, in looking at this, it says I've found one file, FRP001 in my Chuck HA library. Here's the original size. Here would be the new size after file reorganization. It says it's 41% deleted records. Well, let's take a little bit closer look at that 41% deleted records. If I do a display file description on that file and go to the bottom, it says, here's the number of records, here's the deleted records. So if you add these two up, you'll have the total records in the file. And if you divide by the number of deleted records, you can see, yep, this is about 41% deleted records. So the math was done right. So we could go into the task now and tell it to actually go about reorganizing the physical file member, and the end result will be we'll have 0 deleted records. So let's do that. Let's do a submit. All right, let's look at the audit history. My audit is complete. This actually should have gone out now and purged those deleted records. All right, we'll just double check the spool file. And yes, it should have actually done the corrective action on this file. So we'll confirm that with the display file description command. And there you go. Deleted records have been purged. Thank you for taking the time to view this robot tip. If you have any additional questions on this or any other topic in the robot product line, please reach out to info@fortra.com. Thank you.